All right, in this video, I'm gonna show you how to do your abstract shape value design. And with this, we're concentrating on geometric and organic shapes. And so we'll start with organic shapes, which are free-form shapes. We're not gonna use any tools with these. They could be heart shapes, they could be just random curved shapes. So this one is actually going to be going off the paper and coming back on the paper. Then I'm going to do another shape because I've got to do a total of 3 of them. And so with this, I'm going to do something more recognizable. We'll have it again running off the paper and coming back on. So we have a heart shape. I'm going to have another shape over here. Which again runs off. And so I've got my 1, 2, 3 organic shapes. Now I'm going to do geometric shapes, which are going to be made with some sort of a tool, such as a ruler or a compass. And again, these are going to be very large shapes to the point where they possibly run off the paper. You could even do circular shapes. I've got all sorts of stuff that you can use for tracing. And I noticed on that I had a big open area, just like I have up here. So I think I'll go ahead and put some sort of a circular shape over here too. Now that's basically 3, but I think I could use 1 more over here. It would make sense to have 1 more, so I may just say, okay, I gotta do some sort of a, very tight angular straight line here. Or straight shape. So I'll do a triangle. All right, once you have your shape done, or your design done, then we're going to be using charcoal pencils. And charcoal itself is very nice for blending. I mean, you can get dark, medium, light, all sorts of value with very little effort. This is actually a charcoal pencil, so we don't have the mess on our hands from holding charcoal. Our hands can still get messy though by touching the paper, so you may want to have a piece of paper over the top of it where you're not working. A couple things though, because charcoal is so soft, we want to be careful not to drop the pencils too much. We also want to make sure that we use a hand sharpener when it comes to sharpening these, and you're not going to get a point with these. We have to understand that it's going to be, basically like this most of the time. If you get a pencil where there's hardly any lead showing, you want to do minimal sharpening, and so I'm going to concentrate more on this area right here, and I'm going to do like a half sharpen. So instead of turning this the entire way around, I'm going to say, okay, right here, I'm going to just put that against the blade and do a partial turn. And then there we go. I got some blood showing. So with this, we're going to have a completed project where we see very little pencil line, if any, and instead it's going to be finished with charcoal. And there are some requirements. As you're doing this, I want you to use a variety of values. Somewhere you shade from edge to center, somewhere center to edge, like dark from the edge to the center, dark from the center, and then gets lighter as it goes out. I want you to do somewhere you shade and lighten with an eraser, like where you take some of it off and make a textural pattern with an eraser. I want you to do somewhere where you have areas of even values, and you can see all of these throughout this example. I also want you to shade where one side's dark and it gets lighter as you go. All right, so we are going to use, and on here it says use Q-tips. We're actually going to use blending stumps for this. And my blending stump disappeared, so I'll have to get a different one. This is the example that I started earlier. I'm trying to hold that down. And this is an example of where we go dark on one edge, lighter as you go in. And then I use the blending stump, because it already had some charcoal on it, I use the blending stump to get an even value here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go, in this big area right here, I'm gonna go darker in the middle and have it get lighter as it goes out towards the edge. So I'm gonna go ahead and concentrate on, this area is going to be dark. And I really don't wanna show any lines when I'm doing this, so I'm kinda shading in a circular direction. Just to kind of fill that middle area with some value. And then I'll use the blending stump, and again, this is the blending stump. And I'm gonna go ahead and kind of push that into the paper. I'll do the top portion here just to kind of show you. And then I'm gonna come out from that. And you can get lighter by pressing, or not pressing so hard on your blending stump. So as I get out, I'm just gonna barely touch the blending stump to the paper to get lighter and lighter and lighter. Now it is just a little bit choppy here. You can see where it goes from really dark to a little bit lighter, and it's kind of choppy. So I'm gonna work on that as I go. I can always add more charcoal, but it is a little harder to take charcoal off, even though one of my goals is to use an eraser and remove some. One thing I do not want to see on your project is where you have completely solid black charcoal. This is not so dark that I have every single bit of this little area covered with a really thick charcoal. There's charcoal in it, but it's not real heavy, and I've got a lot to work with here. So I'm going to keep bringing this out and bringing it out and bringing it out and getting lighter and lighter. It's starting to kind of look like an eye. But I do have it, my shape here is interrupted with the this curved line right here. So as I go, I have to make some decisions. How far do I want this to come out? But I'm gonna stop at that line because now I have a new shape. All right, and so this is a process of using the charcoal with the blending stump, but there is one more thing I can do with the blending stump. Keep in mind, this is not quite done. And that is, I can get some even values just by, and some really light values, just by using the tip of this blending stump. That's how I got that one right there. So for example, I'm gonna choose this little triangular shape right here. In this little triangular shape, I want just kind of a medium to light value, and so I'm just gonna use my blending stump to fill that in, because I want a variety of light to medium values. And so there we go. And I'm gonna fill this entire thing up with all sorts of values. And by the time we get done, we're not gonna see any pencil lines, and we're gonna see very little. In this example, there's some, but I wanna see very little actual lines that are outlined with pencil or charcoal. Everything should be basically showing up with the values that we create.
I need Jason, Bryce, and Nate.